Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Saturday Morning Comic Review. I'm your host, Dylan Wallace. Today, we got a great issue for you guys. It's going to be our standard traditional Saturday morning review. We'll talk about the pulls from this week. We'll talk about the pulls for next week. But before we get into that and the reviews, I actually have a little surprise I wanted to show here real quick. So I've been meaning to do this for a while, and this is going to mostly be for the video viewers, just as an FYI. If I go into the comic cam here and take a look, I went up to Virginia on work maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago and met up with a buddy. We grabbed lunch, and the spot that we grabbed lunch at was in a strip mall. There was a collector shop, and they had a bunch of comic books. So he's like, yeah, I know you're into comics and stuff, so let's go ahead and check it out. And we did, and they had some pretty interesting stuff for like just $1. So I was like, all right, well, let's just pick up some things and go ahead and get to reading them and potentially reviewing them. I don't actually know if I'll do that or not, but either way, they've been sitting here. I get so focused in on like getting this all set, ready to go, checking everything off. Do I hit record here? Do I hit record there? Is the soundbar working? Are the notes up in queue? Do I have League ready to go? The books out of the sleeves, yada yada. And then I just go, and then I look over at the right at the end. I'm like, oh my gosh, there they are sitting yet again in between the issues and the Omegas and so on and so forth. So I finally remembered. So here they are. I think it's 5 that I picked up here. So these are from all random years and things like that, but the covers look cool, and I just went ahead and grabbed them. Some of them didn't even come with sleeves, but we have Annihilators #1. I'm not even sure like what year these things are from, but Extreme X-Men. This looks like issue 3 from September, maybe 2001. Crazy. This was a $2.99 book. That tells you what era. Trinity from DC, #25. This is from 2019. Black Adam, it's literally The Rock on the cover from the movie. I wonder if it's like a direct tie-in or if like he just did, they just slapped him on like whatever Black Adam book that they wanted to do. It looks like it's just kind of a one-shot, so it probably ties in with the movie, but this was from 2022. And then last but not least was a Batman and Superman crossover #7 called Protege. So those are the books that I picked up. So I am excited to get to read them. Anytime I travel and I run across a comic book shop, I'll be sure to pick some stuff up. Always want to support your local shops for sure, but you just never know what you're going to find and run into anyways. I'm not big on the collector side of things per se, just because then it gets into a whole thing of like, what's it graded? Like, who do you have signed on it? The quality of it. And then certain variants are like more valuable than others. It's like a whole thing. So it's beyond my realm and not anything that I've interest in dabbling in at the time. But either way, you just pick up a couple books for $1 here, $1 there, or maybe even less. I figure, why not? So with that brief detour, let's go ahead back to our main view cam, and then let's talk about the polls for this week. If I flip over to the share screen, before we do that, on the discovery side of things, which is basically I just pulled up the picks of the week. Thus far, you have Absolute Martian Manhunter #4 in the lead, 34%, a pretty good lead. Absolute Wonder Woman #9, 12%. Ultimate Spider-Man #18, also with 12%. New History of the DC Universe #1 with 5% of the vote, and Fantastic Four #33 with 5%. So those are the top 5 there. I have Absolute Martian Manhunter, as you probably saw at the top of the show for the video viewers, and then also have Absolute Wonder Woman and Ultimate Spider-Man as well. So as we go through, we'll see whether or not those actually made my comic of the week. But let's jump into the polls now. And this was a huge week. 18 books is what I had here. I think before I had 19, and I mentioned there's a book on there that I may or may not get, and I'm not going to be super disheartened if I don't get it, and it wasn't in the stack, which is totally fine. So I think it was just these 18 that you can see on the screen here. The way I'll do this one is I'll just call out the backlogs or what I'm saving for the Omegas. If you don't hear that either way for the audio folks, just assume it's going to be reviewed. And then, of course, if you've been listening, you already know I'm going to tell you the whole 10 that I'm going to review anyways. But if it's your first time here, that's basically what we'll end up doing. So the 18 that we had here, Absolute Martian Manhunter number 4, Absolute Wonder Woman number 9, Dark Honor number 2 is going to be the Omega, Doom Academy number 5, Green Lantern Dark number 5, Huck Big Bad World number 2, Hyde Street number 7 will be the Omega, Incredible Hulk 26, Justice League Unlimited number 8 is going to be the Omega, Miles Morales Spider-Man number 34 is going to be a backlog, Minor Arcana number 8, Peacemaker Presents The Vigilante / Eagerly double feature number 4, that will be on the Omega, Rockefellers number 6 will be on the Omega, Seasons number 5 will be on the Omega, Ultimate Spider-Man 18, Uncanny X-Men 16, which is a backlog, and I believe that's the last one that I'll be getting of that. And then the last 2 are Void Rivals number 20, and We're Taking Everyone Down With Us number 4. So those are the 18 books. I know that's a lot. It's a mouthful, but I'm hoping this is one of the last weeks where we have this many, and the sweet spot is anywhere between like 12 and 15 kind of moving forward is my hope and my goal. So with that, we will close these 2 tabs out here and go ahead and get into our review. So 10 on the docket this week, as per usual. I'll read them in this order. For those that don't know, and it's your first time, I do spoil the heck out of all these books. Try to tell you, here's where the story and where we're at thus far. Review the book itself, give you a synopsis of it, whether or not I'm enjoying it, where I think it might go next, and if it's a good time to jump in, and if I recommend it, right? So just overall high-level thoughts, and then for the video folks, I show off a little bit of the art as well. I probably do a pretty poor job of describing it to the audio folks, but I'm going to do my best either way. So that is just, fair warning on the spoilers before we go ahead and jump in. So the 10 books that we have here today are, in this order, Absolute Martian Manhunter number 4, Absolute Wonder Woman number 9, Ultimate Spider-Man 18, We're Taking Everyone Down With Us number 4, Doom Academy 5, Green Lantern Dark number 5, The Incredible Hulk 26, Minor Arcana number 8, Void Rivals number 20, and last but not least, Huck Big Bad World number 2. So those are the books. We'll start off with Absolute Martian Manhunter here, number 4. The book that was in the lead for League and where they're at for picks of the week. So for this book, I gave it a 4.5. League gave it a 4.7. Very, very good book. Very strong entry and interesting issue as well. So we pick up here where John is aware that the Martian is part of him. Powers are starting to become a lot stronger, and he can read, people's minds, but not only read their minds, read their emotions, anticipating what their next moves are going to be. At this point now, he's not that he's one with the Martian, but he understands what's going on. And it's the middle of a heat wave, and so tensions are high, as they tend to be during heat waves, and every single day it seems like there is some sort of terrorist level threat that's happening. I think they described one thing of, it was 16 different police officers were shot randomly by 16 different individuals. It's like rioting in the streets. You have these 2 neighbors that used to be friends with each other, and now suddenly they hate each other, and they literally set up barriers on their lawns and have their children watch and stand guard. It's like craziness and madness that's going on. All while this is taking place, John's wife is trying to talk to him and wants him to open up emotionally. We find out that they just moved to this new town that they're in from DC after living there for 6 years. None of their friends will talk to them. Now John's cold and distant. He's been that way in the past, but now she looks in his eyes and she doesn't even see the same man before. And when she looks into the eyes, she actually sees the Martian Manhunter, which is very fitting for the cover that you see here as well. So it's to the point where things are really bad, and she tells John, you need to sleep somewhere else until we can figure this whole thing out. So leading towards separation, divorce, kind of what have you. while this is happening, the Martian is on the background, like trying to figure out what's going on with this heat wave, and like tweaking different things to see like how he can change. I think it's like the nuclear power plant, but it's difficult to tell, like separating what's happening there versus what's actually happening in the world. Is this all happening in his head and it's all based on like the fight that's taking place presently with his wife, or is there actually something out there that's happening that's external while simultaneously he's fighting as well? So it's like kind of this interesting storytelling thread there. So yeah, that's the crux of the book. We'll see where it all happens, what happens next. Basically, at this point, right, we're just a lot of the internal relationship that's happening. All the other events that took place just seemed like, okay, this is what is happening in the world, but not specifically, one event or scenario that John's going to be going after. It's more about, what's happening between him and his wife. So it was a great book. I'd say, obviously, and it's been this way for this series the whole time, it's all about the art here. So as we flip through, another really, really excellent showing here for this book. A lot of oranges and yellows to represent the heat wave this go around. But remember, we kind of have like Picasso style art and illustration throughout this book. A lot of like lava lampy kind of designs. And so that continues throughout here, but just an emphasis on the heat and the temperature. So a lot of like the orange and yellows, as though like the sun is really beating down on this town. Like, look at this one here. Like, my goodness, like the color and the pop, and then the actual detail of the stars in the galaxy, like blowing from, I think this is his wife's mind. It's pretty incredible here. So it's, yeah, awesome stuff. If you're into like comics for the art, this is the one. The story is like pretty out there and bizarre, but overall, like the art is like second to none. Literally the best in comics today, in my opinion. So that's Absolute Martian Manhunter number 4. I gave it a 4.5. Lee gave it a 4.7. You'd be fine if you jumped in right here, right now. I think it does a decent job of like catching you up, but in the end, like there's no real catching you up. It is like mostly just the art doing the storytelling at this point. You just miss the piece of him understanding like what is going on, but you kind of don't need it, in my opinion. It's like, it's an art showcase is what this is all about. So that is that one. Next up here, we have Absolute Wonder Woman number 9. And hold on, I'm going to rearrange these books real quick. Yes, Absolute Wonder Woman number 9. I gave this one a 4. Lee gave it a 4.4. I was in between, more of like a 4.5, but definitely leaning more towards a 4. The story here, I think, for the most part, is okay. I think we're trying to lead towards like the main action, and we kind of get towards it towards the end with the cliffhanger that's involved here. So if you remember from the last issue, Wonder Woman is saving the day. There's a bunch of these little robots out attacking Gate City, and it's revealed that it's Dr. Poison that did this. So the government took, from way back in issue 4 or 5, I want to say, it was like a sound clip that they had of the beast that was attacking the town, and that's what was drawing everyone in. They want Dr. Poison to come up with some sort of weapon. So she pulls together like a bunch of these little drone robots, and they attack the city. But that's not really her goal. Her goal is really to draw out Wonder Woman and then like have a conversation with her. So she's really trying to look for her freedom, and she has a bargaining chip, and she says that she knows where another Amazonian is. And so we start this issue. That was a cliffhanger in the last one. Pick up immediately from there. Wonder Woman's like, okay, great, but we gotta remove all these drones, and then you tell me where she is, and then I'll just basically let you go. And that's what they decide to do. Take all the drones. She puts them in hell, where Diana's like from in this universe anyways. And Dr. Poison, she holds up her end of the bargain. She tells him the Amazonian was in the prison that she was kept, but that prison has been there for a long time. So when they arrived and they turned it into a prison, the government did, there are already a bunch of beasts and entities there. and then they turned parts of it into prison that they've been adding a whole bunch of villains, unsavory, whatever, people there as well, and reveals where this location is. So Diana goes back to the Heron, which is like kind of her makeshift lair with all of her friends, tells them she's going to go after it. They're all like, no, 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 don't go. She's like, hey, if any of you were captured, I would go after and try to save you. This is my kin. I have to figure out where they're at. Even if I have like the slightest bit of a chance, we have to take it. So they can't convince her otherwise. She goes, creates this portal, ends up in the maze, and it's a maze really. And just like you would imagine from Diana and like that kind of Greek era, it ends up being like kind of a Minotaur maze, and she sees a Minotaur fighting off a whole bunch of fishmen. So our assumption, being kind of like Western 21st century, it's like, oh, Minotaur, probably the bad guy. And she goes and she puts the lasso on the Minotaur and finds out like, oh, he's actually the good guy, and it's the fish people that are the bad ones, and they're like serving up the injustice or whatever. So she sides with the Minotaur. The Minotaur gladly takes on the help. They defeat the fish people that are there. There's like a siren that the Minotaur is trying to save in the form of a girl. So they grab her and they go throughout the maze. And Wonder Woman's like, hey, while I'm actually here, I'm looking for an Amazonian. And the Minotaur's like, I've been here forever. I think I know of an Amazonian, or people call her that. She's right around over here. And it's like, I think her name is Clea. It's like, oh boy, here we go. Turn the corner, and it is Queen Clea, and claiming that she is the queen. And the cliffhanger, of course, is Diana's like, that's no Amazonian. So now we're going to have some sort of conflict and a big fight here with a villain of hers in the past. So I feel like it was more of a setup issue for what's about to take place here, which is why I gave it a 4. Overall, I've been higher on Absolute Wonder Woman, but I was like, okay, I get it. We got to like the rise and falling action, right? So this is kind of just to set us up to get us ready for the action that's going to take place next. So with that, let's go ahead and talk through some of the art. Art here and the details always been really good. Consistent with what we've seen before from Absolute Wonder Woman in the past, where you have a bunch of this is a perfect example of it, right? The paneling and the way that it's kind of designed throughout the page as you go from one side left to right here. The coloring too is not like muted, but it's almost like pastel and like kind of sketched in a way. If you're an audio listener, I'm trying to do my best to describe it, but you see what I mean if you're visually looking at this. But the art is consistent of what it's been in the past and what is to be expected. So here's where she runs into the Minotaur and helps him fight off these fish people. And then they're kind of talking about how she got here, and then the reveal of Queen Clea in the end. So yeah, I'm enjoying this one. I'd say start off with 8. You'd be good if you started at 8, not 9, in my opinion. 9, we're already in the thick of it, and this is technically part 2, but 8, you would be good to go. So that's Absolute Wonder Woman number 9. I gave it a 4. Lee gave it a 4.4. Next up here we have Ultimate Spider-Man number 18. This was good. I think, League has just been loving this book, so I think that's just kind of the sentiment overall. Honestly, Jonathan Hickman, he's crushing it, but for this one, it to me just felt like a filler issue. It really did. So the story so far, and like where we're at right now, because I can't catch you up through every single thing that has happened in the last 17, now in issue 18. But basically, we're at the point where we're trying to prepare for the Maker in the New York. Kingpin has a whole bunch of other lesser villains that are in charge of the different boroughs, but he's basically running the region. Spider-Man's been given his powers in adult life. Harry is actually the Green Goblin. It was revealed to us in issue 16, I want to say, maybe 15. Mysterio is actually Gwen, who's married to Harry, and Peter and his family have gone into hiding. His son Richard has is the Venom here that you see on the cover, or has the symbiote suit. And with the families in hiding, Harry and Gwen, they went and attacked Mr. Negative, who controls one of the boroughs. So now we kind of have like this open war that's starting to happen and starting to shape and take place here as the Maker is about to arrive pretty imminently. I think it's within the next 6 months. So Harry goes out to get Peter wherever he's been hiding out in the desert and brings him back to the city. Catches him up a little bit as to what has been happening. They do a little crime fighting. They end up going to Peter's house. Turns out Otto was staying there for a little bit. Peter was pissed off about it, but then it ended up kind of being fine. Gwen and her, I guess, kind of council of Mysterios. It's 5 of them, and they all have to like decide on what they're going to do, and then they pass around the amulet, I guess. And she gets chastised for what she did, viewed it as reckless, but nothing actually of consequence happens, or like kind of don't do that again type deal. But there's another one that actually agrees and thinks that it was the right thing to do. But the whole book, and that's like 3/4 to like 7/8 of the book, is all of that, just catching us up and just filler. Then at the very end, Richard is texting Black Cat. So Black Cat, her father was like the original Black Cat, and he's in charge of one of the boroughs, but he can't do it anymore. He got hurt. I think it was Peter actually who hurt him a while back, so now passed it on to his daughter. But he's kind of dating Richard right now, Peter's son, and they're texting back and forth, and Richard of course is in hiding with the family, and then Black Cat texts him and is like, I'm in trouble, please come help me. So he goes and sneaks onto the plane. It's the symbiote suit, so he's able to go invisible, fly over to New York, and of course he meets up with her, but it ends up being a trap. Kingpin's already there, and so now it's like, crap, what the hell's going to happen to Richard as he's caught in the suit, and he knows that there's some sort of connection between him and Spider-Man. He just doesn't know what yet, as Richard still has the mask on. So all of that was just for maybe those last 4 panels on like, oh boy, shit's about to hit the fan, and maybe another setup kind of issue. So I'd imagine, writers don't like you calling their artwork like a filler issue, but that's what it feels like. I mean, like, I'm just going to be perfectly honest with you on that. Even the last one was like, all right, yeah, I get it. Gwen and Harry, they're out, they're doing, starting a war basically, but that issue didn't feel like we were getting much substance from it either. So I feel like it's a bit of a lull right now for the last 2 issues for me. We'll see if it picks up in 19. It may actually be another one, and then like shit really starts to hit the fan in issue number 20 would be my guess. Is it the time to jump in? No, I'd say you'd probably have to go back 2 issues from now. 16, I think, would be a better time. So with that, I mean, I did give it a 4. Lee gave it a 4.4. It's good. It's just not the best, in my opinion. We're taking the long way around, which is like very Hickman, right? He sets up a lot of exposition, but it's not even exposition as much as it is just trying to set up the bond between these people. So this is Gwen and her whole council of the Mysterios. Harry and Spider-Man fighting throughout the city. The reveal that Otto is living at the house. And then the reveal here, Richard was texting, shows up, and it's Kingpin in the end. So yeah, Ultimate Spider-Man number 18. It's good. It's not great. Again, I gave it a 4. Lee gave it a 4.4. Then, next up here, we're taking everyone down with us. This is such an interesting book. So this is from Image. This is Matthew Rosenberg is on this one. Man, I am enjoying the hell out of this. I gave it a 4.5. Lee gave it a 4.6. And I'm not even going to bury the lead. I'll just let you know that this is the comic of the week. Incredible book that we have going here. It is how do I set this up? It's like a spy thriller almost. We have like these evil council of villains, and then we have like it's like spies. Like, think of it as MI6, and the 2 sides kind of feuding against each other. Our story mostly takes place of one member of the villain side. He is working on some remote island, building a bunch of these robots that look like this. That's his daughter on a lease, but the guy dies early on. His home and lab are blown up. And now this is like the last robot, we find out that that doctor or evil genius or whatever uploaded his consciousness into this robot, and now they're just trying to escape and get away with Annalise. She's like teenager age. I'd put her at like 14, 16, something like that. I feel like more 14 just with how much attitude that she gives. But in that like age range, thinks she knows everything. For some reason, she has like crazy good reflexes or some random things that she knows, but at the same time, she's still like a kid and doesn't actually know like what's really happening. And the story that we get is a little bit of this league or council of the supervillains, and they're trying to figure out what all to do now that this guy has died. His name is like the Vitruvian. At first, they wanted to kill them themselves, but they actually didn't. And now they're like, well, crap, did one of us kill? Like, they don't really know if someone did it behind their back. So they're kind of weirded out and freaked out by it. But it was actually the MI6 group that went in and went ahead and did it. And so in the last issue, one of the villains, Mortis, captured these two. So they're out on the water trying to escape. Mortis showed up in a boat, captured them, then put them on his train. And one of the other villains, her name was Nina, was under the assumption that Mortis was the one that killed the Vitruvian. And, it's like kind of like miscommunication, lost in translation type deal. And so she decides that she is going to blow up Mortis, but doesn't know that Annalise and this robot are on that train. And that was the end of issue 3. So now in issue 4, turns out that the robot barely made it out. Annalise barely made it out. Annalise actually lost an arm. So that's why the robot's missing an arm here. He surgically added it to Annalise here. And then now they're trying to drive throughout the city and then get out of, whatever trouble that they're in. Annalise, being the teenager that she is, wants to stop, wants to get food. And so he's like, no, we can't do that. It's like, well, I'm a human. I need to eat food. And she's like, okay, we'll stop. And then the robot goes to get out, and like we're in some random town in like, who knows, like some Eastern European country. And they're like, yeah, you can't go out. I'll just go out and do whatever I need to do to get some food. But we find out that for most of her life, she's lived on this island and she has like zero interaction with any other human beings and doesn't really know how to like handle that. So she completely fumbles that. And when she does, one of the spies from the MI6 is actually in that town trying to figure out what all happened with that train that was blown up. They're trying to find Annalise. They're trying to find this robot too. And they get seen. So there's a big fight scene. The robot comes out. He helps out too. They end up hitting them with this car and then they end up speeding off. And so with that, the robot then takes her to Nina's place. And we find out that Nina is actually the mother of Annalise. So that basically means, and the Vitruvian was the father. So it was these two were together, divorced, or maybe were never married, or they had one night or whatever. And Annalise ended up with the Vitruvian instead of with Nina. But in the end, Annalise passes out. And it's probably from the surgery with like, the body rejecting the arm that she put there. But Nina doesn't take it that way. She takes it that the Vitruvian did something and that this robot did something. So now like her guards have guns pointed towards him. So that's the story. That's a cliffhanger. The thing is nuts. It's so good. Twists and turns and setting up a lot of exposition, but it's slowly the breadcrumbs are there issue to issue. I'm just loving the hell out of it. It's hilarious too. So a lot of the attitude that Annalise gives, there's a lot of really funny, hilarious parts in here as well. It's excellent stuff. Excellent stuff. So I'll go through here on the art side of things. It's fine. I think it's serviceable. It is more about the dialogue itself and the writing, I'd say here. But I'm just loving the concept of the whole thing, right? So think of like James Bond, and he has like a super villain, but it's like a bunch of like council folks, and they're all trying to figure out what the hell is going on as well. So you're seeing a little bit of both sides of everything. And then the other B plot that's happening here too is now that, that missile went off and it blew up the train, it blew up Mortis, the rest of the council, Nina did that like very publicly and said in a meeting, I'm going to, go and blow up Mortis. And now the council is like, well, can we just go and kill her? And one of the guys on the council is like, well, no, we can't do that unless like 6 out of the 7 of us agree. And they've only revealed like 4 of them. And they're like, well, she just went ahead and did it. It's like, well, she didn't ask. She just went ahead and did it. So it's a little different. If she would have asked, then we wouldn't have blown up Mortis. I was like, okay, well, that's kind of stupid. Isn't there like a way we can change the bylaws? It's like, yeah, we can change the bylaws, but we need 6 of the 7. Now one of them's dead. It's like, and they do all of this in the middle of a movie theater, and this poor citizen, innocent standing, bystander is like, shh, shh, I'm trying to watch the movie. And one of them just gets fed up and just literally snaps the guy's neck and then puts an empty bucket of popcorn on him just so he can, as they're having this argument about trying to kill another supervillain. It's like the most ridiculous thing over the top. It's so funny. But yeah, we're taking everyone down with us. Highly recommend it. You guys start at the beginning though. You cannot start here. There's way too much going on. But the story does make sense as, breadcrumbs are revealed throughout. So again, I gave it a 4.5. I mean, Lee gave it a 4.6. It's an incredible story that we have going here. It's going to be top 10 by the end of the year, pretty much no matter what. I mean, I can't see it falling off. Even if it's just like here and then it plateaus, totally fine. Like really, really high quality. So we're taking everyone down with us, and it was also the comic of the week. Next up, we have Doom Academy number 5. This is the conclusion to this miniseries in the One World Under Doom event that has taken place. So I gave it a 4. Lee gave it a 3.4, and I'm not super surprised by this. Extraordinarily predictable ending to this book. Like, extraordinarily. I almost knew, it was like, I bet this is what's going to happen, and it happened almost exactly as I predicted it was going to happen. So from that alone, you're like, okay, this is not that great. But I enjoy the tone, I enjoy the characters, I like how it's written, and it's a lot of action that you get in the artwork, and so you'll see that in a little bit. But here we have the Doom Academy kids. They are now going to the Latverian Doom Academy rather than the Strange Academy to learn to be wizards. In this whole thing, one of their roommates ended up missing. They found out that there was another kid years ago that went missing as well. They got sucked into this fairy tale book that had all these monsters. The kids that are outside of the book were working and trying to bring her out. The two that are inside the book at first, classic thing, 2 strangers, they meet up, they're combatants, and they work together, then it turns out they like each other. As that happens, the ones that are outside pull the one girl that they know out, Zoe, and she's like, oh my god, put me back in, we gotta get her. And so rather than, all of them going in, they end up pulling everyone else out with them, so now they have all the monsters out there, plus her out there. So that was all the way up to issue 4. Now issue 5, I was like, okay, now they're going to have to somehow banish them in some way, shape, or form. So I assumed they were going to put them all back into the book, but that's not what happened. They end up going to like the Dark Dimension, the Dormammu dimension, basically, like one of the big demons, and sending them all through there in that portal. And that's basically the story. I mean, it's just that in like 1 or 2 sentences for this issue, but a lot of it is just the action of what happens and the fighting from the kids and like all the different monsters that came out. So in the end, then Doom, he shows up and he was like, to the faculty, the hell are you guys doing? You guys clearly can't run a school, and you have all these students that are having to fix everything. And he actually applauds to the students of like, great job of being able, resourceful and figuring this out on your own. And like, of course, it's Doom Academy that was going to be able to teach you and help you defend and so on and so forth. So that's it. That's basically the book. Let's go and flip through some of the artwork here. I like this one. I feel like it's a step up from typical Marvel just in the action itself. So typical Marvel from like the actual color palette, nothing crazy there, pretty standard comic book. But the action here, I think, takes it up a notch with like, the blast and the debris that's falling and so on and so forth. Very, very quippy dialogue to be expected, and it's more aimed towards like a younger audience, I'd say. But and then we have Doom towards the end here, basically trying to figure out what the hell was going on. Oh, and then the two at the end, Greta and Zoe, they end up hooking up, so they're kind of an item moving forward. So obviously don't jump in here. It's number 5 of 5. Just pick up the whole trade if you're actually interested. I'd say you don't need this. It's not essential. You can skip it. It's just kind of like a one-off adventure. If you like these characters or if you're kind of interested in what that art looks like, then go for it. But you certainly do not need to read this by any stretch of the imagination. So that is Doom Academy number 5. I gave it a 4. Lee gave it a 3.4. Next up here we have is Green Lantern Dark. I was mixed on this one. I gave it a 4. Lee gave it a 4.2. At first I was actually thinking a 3.5, but I was like, no, it's not quite there. So I landed on 4. A lot of exposition in this book for some reason. We're already on issue 5 and we're still like trying to set up stuff here. So we have, this takes place in New England. There's these random seeds that are falling from the sky and like turning everything pitch black, like blackouts everywhere. And then with that, there's all these different creatures and demons that are attacking all these New England towns. And so a lot of the first couple of issues was, oh my gosh, the Green Lantern's here, you can save us, while everyone's all huddled up in these villages, like just trying to get by. Green Lantern was like, yeah, I just got these powers, like bit of an alcoholic. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do any of this stuff. One of the kids super believes in her, and then they end up like, having their first skirmish, then they conquer it, they go from town to town. Now they're like off and adventuring, and we're at to the point now where we're mid-game in an RPG, right? They're like just kind of blasting stuff and cruising along. And they're picking up some different crew members as well. We got all their backstory, but at the very beginning of the book it talks about this great entity that's out in the universe that consumes all this darkness, and it has a weird name and I didn't write it down, but it's like this big worm that consumes darkness to just keep things at equilibrium. And the witch that is putting a lot of these different creatures in this place and like basking in all the darkness, we find out that the reason behind it is she's like really bored with Earth basically, and is like, I want this creature that consumes darkness to show up here to Earth so that way I can be one with it and like go off planet and go somewhere else, is the explanation really that we're given, which is odd, but that's how I interpreted it. So she wants to spread as much darkness as possible so that this creature would be summoned and then consume all of New England. I'd assume Earth, but it's like it talks about New England in particular like so much. So yeah, and we learn more about all these characters and their backstories. Doesn't really matter all that much, but we get to the point. Lunette, who's the girl that originally encouraged the Green Lantern in the first place, was like, hey, she's so driven to the cause and like, let's keep going. They go from town to town. It gets more and more challenging, but she's like very faint and seems like she's going to pass out. Everyone's like, we can stop, we can slow down. And she's like, no, we have to go. And then last quarter of the book, she faints. And then when she faints, like everyone's like, oh, we don't know what to do. She has her brother with her. The witch shows up to the brother like in a vision, and it's like, I can save her, I can help. And you can tell like this is going to be the weak link, and there's some sort of corruption that's going to come here that then's going to slow down and like cause like a bigger fight towards the end here. So that was basically the reveal and the cliffhanger of like the witch is now getting more involved with our little party here as they fight their way through the darkness in New England. So that is issue number 5. The art, though, really good. I'd say a major step up from what it's been previously, right? Like, look at that full spread right there. So that's the creature that they're talking about that just goes through the cosmos, consuming the evil, like just darkness, basically. And we get actually a lot of brighter hues. It's so interesting, like the dichotomy of the witch herself is actually covered in a bunch of like bright like orange and pinks and reds, but she's like obsessed with the darkness. So she's talking to some mummy there, which is basically just explaining like her backstory and what she's actually after. And then like the artwork that you have here, just the adventures that the whole group is going on as they're going from city to city and place to place. So I thought that the artwork was a big step up from what it's been previously, which everything has been intentionally dark, which makes sense. Here you have more color as well, which has been a nice change of pace as to what it's been previously, which is good. So and then here is basically kind of the reveal to the witch. I think it's to the brother here of like, oh, here's what's happening to Lunette, but I can help save her. But it's actually going to be like some evil thing that she ends up unleashing in the next issue. So, and like, yeah, you can see it's like it's like New England. It's very heavy on New England and the towns that they're going to. But yeah, that's Green Lantern Dark. Issue number 5. I gave it a 4. Lee gave it a 4.2. then next up here, we have the Incredible Hulk 26. And this is an interesting one. This is the first time that this has happened for me. So I gave it a 3.5. Lee gave it a 3.8. So there is a different artist on this, Walker. And it's the first time the art was like noticeably different for me to where I'm calling it out on a review. I'm sure people pick up on it all the time and they're like, Dylan, you're just a noob. Like, of course we can see that and notice it, but the way Hulk was drawn in this was like so much worse than what it's been previously. Like, if you're looking at the screen, you can see the background of like, this is what Hulk has looked like throughout the series. And when I go and show you the art on this, I'm like, this is like unacceptably bad. It was and so that's what brought it down to a 3.5 for me. I was thinking maybe even an 8. It was, but and then at the same time it's like, Dylan, you can't be so critical. Like, and I say it in my very first issue, I have zero talent. I can't draw or to save my life, but this is what they put on the page. Here's what's been consistent over the last 25 issues. And then Walker did, I think, 24 as well. And it's like, I don't even remember 24 being that bad. But this one, the way Hulk was drawn, I was like, oh my gosh. But anyway, so the story itself here, it's all about Bucky. So Bucky was trying to find Hulk because, again, a whole bunch of Gammas are being captured. So of course he meets up with Hulk, and we got to do the whole song and dance of like, Hulk's like, go away, and then we get into a fight. Charlie's there. This girl that they're kind of traveling along with and trying to figure out what's all going on. She has the Arcana inside of her, which is like this vampire werewolf thing, but it's a beast monster very similar to Hulk. That beast monster within her has been slowly growing and festering and getting to the point where it's starting to take over control, and Charlie's not as much in control of it. And Bucky, once they finally settle down and stop fighting, they're like, oh, does this Hulk have Bruce with him? And we're in a spot where Bruce Banner has been like banished, basically. Charlie's like, no. So, hey, one thing I know about Hulk and Bruce is they need each other. Like, you can't have one without the other, and if you do, they just fall apart and they're terrible. And Hulk without Bruce is extraordinarily dangerous, so you've been warned, you should go away. And Charlie's like, yeah, whatever. So they then Bucky leaves after the warning and after telling them that all these Gammas are being captured, like, be careful. Charlie and Hulk are like at a campfire, and Charlie's looking into the campfire, and then suddenly her mind is like sucked into this world where like Bruce is. But with that, now like the Arcana has like come out and like completely taken over and like ends up like flying off. And so now it seems like, we're in a place again where the Arcana is in charge, and Hulk's going to have to go and try to figure that out some way, somehow, but you don't have Bruce as backup to support. So yeah, that is the issue. Now let's get into this artwork here. This is where the visuals are going to be pretty important. So like, look at this. Like what is happening there? It just seems so weird. Like the nose is weird, and like the eyes are bizarre. Like the way that that's drawn, it's just so inconsistent with what the rest of the series has been. I just find it bizarre. And so it was so jarring. I mean, it's consistent, but it was like consistently jarring. I was like, oh my gosh, that one doesn't look that bad. But then you look at this one, like that looks bad. It looks really bad in my opinion. I don't know what it is. The rest of it is fine. Even Charlie looks totally different from before too. It's like the first time I was like, is this even the same series? Like, for sure not the same artist, but I'm like, is this the same series that I was looking at from before? Like, he looks different there. It's just odd. I don't know. The Arcana looks totally different. Like, look at that. There's something wrong. I mean, if it was just art alone, this would be like a 3, maybe even a 2.5. But the story is like, okay, the action's fine, but I just do not like that design of Hulk. Cover's cool though. Cover's dope. But yeah, I don't know. It was a miss there, guys. So I gave it a 3.5. Lee gave it a 3.8. That is the Incredible Hulk. All right, next up here. Minor Arcana number 8. What an interesting story that we have going here. From Boom Studio. On this one, I gave it a 4. Lee gave it a 4.2. So we are at a point where Teresa is the daughter of a like psychic, psychic tarot card reading type deal. But kind of are starting to discover that she has some psychic abilities herself. So throughout the issue, she would meet up with someone and then learn something about them and share that, and it tends to help out the person. So at first, Teresa was pushing away, didn't want to be part of this. Her mother's sick. That's the only reason she's back. You have all these issues and trauma dealing with being back in this town, but now she's starting to embrace it. Takes on the shop herself, has this grand reopening. It's a flop. Nobody shows up. So she goes to this cafe where she has a friend there. The friend, we learned in the previous issue or the issue before that she has a brother. He's a bit of a screw up. He's getting high all the time, hanging out with the biker crew. And Teresa's like, you cannot hang out with that guy. That's just going to be bad trouble. So foreshadowing that she's going to go there. There are going to be issues. We can just tell. And she's like, yeah, well, how's your shop going? She's like, terrible. I have no customers. She's like, well, stick with it. We'll see what happens. So she goes back to the shop. This high school kid shows up. Seems like they're trying to transition and not fitting in. So they do a quick reading and everything like that. And Teresa actually then has a vision as to what her life is going to be. Shares that with the girl and lets her know. And then she feels a lot better. And they kind of go on their way, which is good. So then as this is happening, there's this weird guy that shows up in town. And he's there at the cafe and kind of sees Teresa. And then he reports in at the end, in the previous issue, there was this family and saying that Teresa's going to be a problem. That's literally all that we got in the last issue. So he reports in, calls to the grandfather, and is like, make sure you keep tabs on her. I don't care if no one's showing up at that shop. If she's anything like her grandfather, this is going to be trouble. And that's all given there too. So a lot of teasing. Still not quite at the point where we really know what's going on here. But this book has just been so interesting as you read it and it's just day in the life stuff, and then you get towards the end and it's I can't wait to see what happens next. It's been a lot of fun. So Minor Arcana, it's got a bunch of Eisner nominations as well. It's doing really well, this book. 61 reviews on League at issue number 8 is high praise, especially from an independent book. That's really, really good stuff. So yeah, I do recommend, but you would have to jump in way earlier. Honestly, you should just start from the beginning, in my opinion. It's a breeze of a read. It is so quick, and it's been good. Just a different minor arcana, so minor, just kind of low magic type of story, but a lot of mystery of what's happening in this town. It's cool. So again, I gave it a 4. Lee gave it a 4.2, and then I think we got 2 more here. We got Void Rivals number 20 up next. So this one I gave... Oh, sorry, for Minor Arcana. What am I doing? I didn't go through the art. Let's flip through that real quick. It's mostly pastels is the way I describe it, but it's all about the storytelling here. The art is not the biggest piece, but I'd say color pencil pastel is the best way to describe it. It also has that paper that I absolutely love. Whatever this style paper is, I wish most books were written like this, because I enjoyed that a lot. There's a section where her mother is she's found someone who she enjoys a lot in this maybe final stage of her life, and maybe she'll have kind of a lover as she's kind of dying, so that seems interesting. Then this is the call with the grandfather here. So yeah, sorry, I forgot to show the artwork there, but we'll keep things in the order that we had them. So anyways, back to Void Rivals here. So number 20, I gave this one a 4. Lee gave it a 4.2. Here I was like, yes, we're back onto the main story. Thank goodness gracious, because the last one was a complete side story all about Skuxoid and his whole thing. So for this one, we get back to the Aragorians and the Zertonians. I can't even begin to catch you up with this one. I usually have to refer to my notes, but I literally just read this one, so it's very fresh in my mind. But all the craziness that has happened here, it's very difficult to try to catch you up. We got 2 warring sides, and this is an Energon book, so it takes place in Transformer universe. 2 warring sides that seemed like they were descendants of an Autobot in the first place, and they do not want to unite either side, even though they could. There's plenty of resources for both sides. They hate each other. two warriors of each side end up meeting up. First, of course, they hate each other. Then they're kind of like together. And then it seems like maybe they're in love, maybe they're not. And then they split up. And we've come to the point where they're back together. So the one Aragorn guy is in his throne room. He's learning about this whole prophecy of like if they unite, like it could be extraordinarily dangerous. The other one, she went to the center of the planet where she's trying to find Zerda, their god, the Autobot basically. And she finds her and is like, hey, you need to unite, and gives her this ability to where she can now go anywhere on the planet, like just like with the snap of her fingers, because it's all, in the end, Cybertronian technology, and just like infuses that into her name's Celia, I want to say. So she pops up literally into the throne room because she's like, take me to Derek, and so he's there, and of course the king, who is Derek's father, is there, and it's like, oh, we had a Serotonin that just showed up in our throne room. Guards, come here. Obviously, this is sacrilege. They're the enemy. So, Celia is like, we need to unite. I'm declaring that we're going to unite, and there's nothing you can do to stop me. And then Tarek's like, whoa, whoa, whoa. That is a huge claim to just lay out on all of us. Like, and they're like kin, like they're close. Kin's not the right word, but like the whole adventure has been those two together. He's like, you can't lay that on so thick to my father, who's like all new to this, and like the whole thing is like, we're not going to unite. And he's like, I have some information. And she's such a zealot about it. She's like, nope, this is what we're doing. Of course, the king doesn't like that, calls the guards, a whole bunch of fighting takes place. And the whole running joke is like, okay, everyone just calm down, like, and use your words, and you can avoid all this. And so Derek is like basically playing that whole part of like, guys, like, please, like, let's stop this. And she's like just taking out all these guards left, right, and center, not killing them, but incapacitating them. And then to finally get to the point where they start talking a little bit about unity and what would happen. There's this entity or being that's nearby in their solar system called Goliath. It's like, we need to release that because that is what somehow would unite us. And then the Aragornians tell them, like, if we, maybe if we release that, that's actually what's going to destroy us. And then so Zerda's like, I don't know, like, Celia, she's like, that's possible as well. So that all takes place, and they're just trying to debate and see what actually to do. Then on the other side of the planet, on the Zertonian side, their leader is like going through kind of this like religious experience and is trying to convene with Zerda as well. And he does, and he meets her, and she says the same exact thing. We need to unite. So he comes back, and then they put on like regalia as well, and it's like, I've been renewed. The prophecy is complete farce and BS. We need to unite. So that's his stance, all on his side as well, but like far on his side of the planet. And then the last piece is the Skuxoid, the two clones joining the Skuxoid Alpha army. They're being submitted for processing, whatever that means, and like just getting all tested and stuff like that. And then it'll probably be ground up and then turned into brand new Skuxoids specifically designed for the army. So that is the book in the nutshell, I'd say. Again, I gave it a 4. Lee gave it a 4.2. The art, the best part of it is all the action that you have here in this throne room, right? So all the fighting and everything that takes place there. With Void Rivals, there's a lot of purples and pinks. That tends to be the biggest thing. We got some of the Skuxoid there, but a majority of this is all the fighting in the throne room, which is good stuff. Got some of the processing that's taking place there. And then, again, here debating on what exactly to do with this unity thing. And then here is where the Zertonian leader is having his meeting with Zerda, and he comes back and is like, we need to unite. So, yeah, good little book. It's been fun. Not the time to jump in. It's like, Lord have mercy, it's so confusing. Even when I think about it, it's like trying to explain this to you guys of where we're all at on Void Rivals is tough, but what an interesting new concept to be in the Energon universe, which is connected with Transformers and also connected with G.I. Joe. So you have both of them in this universe with this brand new IP of Void Rivals, which is cool. So in a way, it's like a Romeo-Juliet type deal, but like on a grander scale, space opera, and I've been loving the hell out of it. So that's Void Rivals number 20. I gave it a 4. Lee gave it a 4.2. And then last, but certainly not least, we have Huck, Big Bad World. Man, after the first issue, I was like, I don't think I'm going to like this. I may actually end up dropping it. To this is like my new favorite series going on. So I was thinking about comic of the week for this one until I read We're Taking Everyone Down With Us. But this was in the lead. So I gave it a 4.5. Lead gave it a 4. Just 16 reviews. So I think a lot of folks maybe just jumped off the first one, but I would not sleep on this one. What an incredible book. So we have an interesting universe and world where some people have superpowers, but how they've gotten these powers seems to be like from some mysterious witch out in the woods. So the first issue we find Huck, his whole superpower is he can find anyone anywhere. Like you just like a bloodhound, right? You give him a scent, but it's like beyond that. Like you literally just give him a piece of paper that they wrote on, and suddenly he has like a connection and a bond with them, and he can find them. So that's his power. He's like with a girl, but she's like in an all screwed up relationship and has a son, but the father left and now he's back. So now she left Huck to go back with the deadbeat dad. So he's all like disappointed and everything. Huck has a mother, and she was the one that actually initially encountered the witch. And so she has powers as well, along with Huck. They meet this guy, and this guy was saved by a super, but he never found out her name. And he's been trying to track down like where this super could possibly be for like 20 years or something like that. And he learned about Huck in the news. This guy can find anyone. And they're like, Huck, can you help find like another super? I guess basically at first he was like, do you know them? Because they assumed that all the supers know each other. It's like, no, we don't actually. It's like, that's fine. Do you think you could find her? I have literally nothing I know about her, but if there's anyone who could find it, it would actually be Huck. So like, Huck, up to you. You gonna do it? And he says yes after, breaking up with his girlfriend. So that's issue 1. Issue 2, we immediately pick up from there, and they're heading into town, and we find out about another super. He's an assassin, and at first you think like, oh shit, like badass assassin, but it's like, no, it's actually not like that. He's working for the mob, and the whole time you think that he's like the bad guy, and then you come find out he's like a bit of a tortured soul. His uncle is in like the mob, kingpin boss type deal, and he's forcing him to be an assassin and use his superpowers to kill people because he's kidnapped his daughter, which is like his great niece or whatever, and using her as a dangling carrot of, you do my bidding, otherwise I'm going to kill your daughter, which is his own kin and family. So he's like forced to do it in order to keep his daughter alive. He said he gets like photos every 3 months or whatever just to see where she's at, but I don't know where she is and what's happening. So for whatever reason, Huck picks up a scent of like another super or like whatever's going on from like these assassination things that they see, and they're like, hey, this is a lead of some sort. So of course Huck finds the guy, and then we assume he's a bad guy because this is kind of all before we learn that backstory. So they start fighting at first, and then Huck like has him pinned to the ground, and I guess the mother touches, and I think the mother has either this calming effect or has people reveal the truths about themselves. It's like something along those lines. So that's where we get that whole backstory. And then Huck and the mother are like, oh, of course, we're going to help you like figure this all out, and we're going to help you find the daughter, right? Because that's what Huck does. And so sure enough, finds the daughter. Apparently he was like 2 towns over in like some barn or whatever. So finds the daughter, confront the uncle, and of course, they're thinking like, oh man, is he gonna kill him or not? It's like, nope, we got all this evidence all stacked up. Apparently the super guy was a accountant before he got roped into all this stuff, so he kept all of these meticulous notes on the hits, where, when, and it's like, better off if we send you to jail than if I killed you right now, and then it's instant, then it's done. And so awesome story, very very cool. The reveal as it was brought out was very well done. I enjoyed the hell out of it. And at the very, very end, the assassin guy is like, hey, these superpowers, did you guys like encounter some sort of witch? and like, of course, we know that as the readers from the first issue. So there's like something greater going on here too. So there's a lot of intrigue. I'm looking forward to the next one. I liked a lot what I read here. It's cool. Really cool concept that we have here. So this is from Dark Horse, Huck, the Big Bad World, Mark Millar that we have right in this one. So the art, I'd say it's fine. I mean, serviceable. So like, boom, we start off right here with the assassin. So even look at him, right? He looks like a bad guy. So that's just the assumption as you're going throughout of like, oh man, like this is going to be some crazy challenge. And then it completely flips it on its head, which is cool. So, yeah, I've enjoying the heck out of it. Again, it was in the lead for being the comic of the week, and then suddenly I read, we're taking everyone down with us, and now suddenly I was like, okay, well, that's actually a little bit better. But this has a great shot of being a contender towards the end here if we kind of continue at the pace that we're going. And then we talk about the witch at the end here, which is good. So, again, that's Huck Big Bad World number 2. I gave it a 4.5. Lee gave it a 4. And that will wrap it up for the reviews for this week. Let's just go ahead and talk about real quick the 10 books that we had. So we had Absolute Martian Manhunter number 4. Absolute Wonder Woman number 9. Ultimate Spider-Man 18. We're taking everyone down with us number 4. Doom Academy number 5, Green Lantern Dark number 5, Incredible Hulk 26, Minor Arcana number 8, Void Rivals number 20, and Huck, the Big Bad World number 2. So those, dropping books left, right, and center here. Where are reviews? With that, let's go ahead and transition over to our polls for next week. And we're locked and loaded. We have on the docket here, I think it's a lot less. Yes, it is. 11. Perfect. I love it. That's the sweet spot. So we have Absolute Green Lantern number 4, Arcbound number 5, Avengers 28, Batman 89 Echoes number 6. Man, this book has been delayed forever. Actually, let's go ahead and click into it real quick. So this one's going to come out July 2nd. The last one came out December 18th. Oh my gosh, 6 months later. Are you kidding me? Jeez, that is ridiculous. So I was like, wow, I feel like that's been on the docket for quite a while. But anyways, then we have Bitterroot, The Next Movement, number 4. Immortal Thor 25. That will be the conclusion of Immortal Thor. And then that's it for that one. Medieval Spawn 3, which I think is the last. I think I stopped it after that. Null Hunter number 9. I think we're getting close to the end on that one as well. No, we still have one more. That's a 10-parter for Null Hunter. Then the last 3 books: Resurrection Man, Quantum Karma number 4, Ultimate Wolverine number 7, and then X-Men number 19, which is a backlog. So if all these books show up, let me just read through them one more time. Yes, if all these books show up, of the 11, only one backlog. I'll read all 10, and it'll just be all 10 for the straight issue. And then the next Omega will then just be 10 backlogs. So that is what the hope would be. But I think overall that's a pretty decent week. I'm looking forward to Arcbound. The last one was really good, really interesting universe. Tom Hardy's on that project as well. Interested to see how they're going to wrap up the Immortal Thor, because we had kind of the big reveal of what happened in that one as well. I want to, because I'm not actually reviewing the book, I don't want to talk spoilers on stuff because I feel like that's not fair if that doesn't give you a chance to hit the pause button. And then Ultimate Wolverine, been loving that one. I feel like that's one of the better Ultimates that we have going on. Between that, Spider-Man, and the Ultimates themselves are the best ones going. So yeah, that is shaping up to be a pretty good week. So with that, I think we will go ahead and close it out. I appreciate you guys so much for tuning in. Thank you very much. All the stuff is in the description and where to find me. Obviously, the videos are going to be on YouTube. Where else would it be? Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or your podcatcher of choice is where it'll be for the audio format. Saturday morning comic review, and then Helpful Bailiff on Instagram and TikTok, respectively, is where you could find content of, I'll do like the highlights of the week, the polls. The new thing that I've been doing as well has been taking photos and then putting in, you can go into like CapCut and you can do like an auto generate on different videos and stuff. And so you just like have 7 or 8 or 9 or whatever photos, you just send it in there and it'll come up with like bunch of different options, and then just go ahead and post it. So for mini series, when I wrap those up, I think I'm going to start posting those as well. Try to have a post up there every single day, because I have plenty of stuff that I could get through, and you can just see all the covers that I have of those. So seeing whether or not that's of interest to people, or if we'll just kind of stick with like the podcast stuff and the highlights and the things like that. But those are just some things that I'm thinking about. But yeah, I'll stop the rambling here. We'll go ahead and close it out. Thanks again. Really appreciate you guys tuning in, and I will see you in the next one.
Go, 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 go.
This has been a DMW production. Thanks for stopping by.